again. He will not fight Lamont Roach again. He will not fight Tefimo. He will not fight, he will not fight those guys.
Overall, being something that he's not been in the ring with. I'm the total package, and honestly, sometimes I think he doubts himself.
He doesn't really love the sport of boxing. He's very good at it, but he doesn't really love it. And if you just kind of understand it from a job perspective.
Chaos erupts as Gervonta Davis threatens to pull out of the Lamont rematch. He tweeted, "IDC for boxing, y'all can have the #1 spot," which has caused confusion and concern among fans. The post suggests that Davis may be stepping away from the sport, leaving the rematch in doubt. His sudden statement has sparked speculation about his future in boxing and whether the fight will still happen. This shows that Gervonta Davis has clearly lost interest in boxing, but this rematch is crucial if he wants to protect the legacy he's built through years of hard work. Despite his frustration stepping away, now would leave questions unanswered. Meanwhile, Lamont added fuel to the fire by tweeting that, "Tank, is he gonna sleep this time?" making it clear he's coming into the rematch with confidence and a point to prove.
So I know y'all been seeing on Twitter that boy Lamont and Tank been going back and forth. And I ain't gonna lie, it's getting crazy, bro. Lamont talking that one stuff and Tank talking crazy. Tank said, "I don't care for boxing. Y'all can have the #1 spot." And that's why I said with Lamont going up against Tank, it's gonna bring, a different type of Tank out, because at first he said he was losing love for boxing. It wasn't exciting no more. But now that he's seen that Lamont was skillful and he had to go up against him and everything, and then he almost, could have got over low-key, and people running with that narrative that Lamont was getting over on Tank, he got to make an example out of him. And that boy Lamont Roach said that this time Tank going to sleep, y'all. He's saying this time going to be different. Ain't going to be no draw. You going to bed. That boy Tank said that he'll really pull up on Lamont right now. That's how much he ready to go up against Lamont. I'm not going to lie, y'all. Now it's starting to look like the old Tank, where he's starting to go back and forth with his opponent and everything. And to be honest, like I said, I'm still standing on it. I think that boy Tank is literally go walk Lamont Roach. He obviously feeling confident because he back talking and stuff now. And we seen that he been in the gym rocking out with Calvin. And then one thing I do want to say about Lamont Roach, he keep on talking about that little moment he had where Tank took the knee. Tank said, bruh, it was because of braid one of his. If you looking for a win or something like that, you don't even need to belong in boxing and trying to go up against somebody like Tank. It's like you're trying to find any way to say, I'm the winner. That's why I said, bro, this rematch is possibly going to be one of the biggest fights in boxing, because now they went from being like childhood, friends or whatever they was, like working in the same camp, to being rivals now. And one thing I want to say, y'all, is don't be surprised if this fight ends up like the Frank Martin fight versus Tank. Because y'all remember Frank Martin was saying what he was going to do, and he got dropped, bro. I think it's like the 6th or 7th round. I'm telling you, I can see that boy Tank actually taking Lamont out early.
Chaos has erupted in the boxing world, as many believe Gervonta Davis is now afraid to face Lamont Roach again. Fans and analysts alike are questioning his willingness to step into a high-stakes rematch. His recent comments and sudden disinterest in boxing have only fueled the speculation. Critics point out that Davis has a history of avoiding difficult rematches, including never running it back with Ryan Garcia. Now with Lamont growing more confident and vocal, people are starting to wonder if Davis is truly ready to defend his name, or if he's trying to walk away before the challenge gets real.
We will never see that fight happen again. It just will not happen. Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't like hard fights. It's that simple. We've seen it over and over. He fought a Ryan Garcia drained. He fought a very inexperienced Rolly Romero. He will not fight Devin Haney. He will not fight Shakur. He will not fight Pitbull Cruz again. He will not fight Lamont Roach again. He will not fight Tefimo. He will not fight, he will not fight those guys. That's just not who Tank is.
Gervonta Davis's initial performance against Lamont Roach didn't live up to expectations. Many fans were left questioning whether he still had the same explosiveness and sharp instincts he once showed in previous fights. One major factor cited by critics was the absence of his longtime trainer Calvin Ford. Without Ford in his corner, Davis seemed disconnected, lacking the usual strategic edge that guided him through difficult matchups. The chemistry between fighter and coach can be critical, and Ford's influence has long been seen as a stabilizing force in Davis's career. His absence may have exposed cracks that were previously hidden.
So Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach goes to a majority decision draw, with Tank retaining his WBA lightweight title. Now, I did not score this fight a draw. I had it 7-5 to Lamont Roach. I thought he had the ring generalship and effective pressure. He was landing the jab and effective combinations. Tank, as usual, had a very low output, and he was relying on one big shot. I gave Roach the first 3 rounds, Tank the next 3 rounds, and then Roach 4 the last 6 rounds to win the fight. Not to mention, Tank did take a knee in the middle of the fight. By rule, that should have been considered a knockdown. Yes, it was to get his mouthpiece, and that's why they didn't rule it a knockdown. But anytime a fighter takes a knee, that's a knockdown. And that would have given Roach one more point to win the fight. Now, I'm sure they'll run it back. Lamont Roach absolutely deserves a rematch. He just had the fight of his life. He wasn't scared to go toe-to-toe with Tank. Landing his combinations, the bigger counters, and the more effective shots. He definitely deserves a second payday. Now, in the co-main event, Gary Antoine Russell put on an amazing performance. I think he won 11 or 12 rounds against Raya Valenzuela. Great hand speed, good combinations, masterclass to win the WBA title. And then in the featured bout, Alberto Puello beat Sandor Martin to retain his WBC title. He landed the cleaner left hands, definitely won the last 2 to 3 rounds to edge the fight. But overall, good card. I do think Roach won the fight though.
Gervonta Davis has long faced criticism for choosing opponents that some say pose minimal risk to his undefeated record in the case of Lamont Roach. Many assumed Davis would dominate. However, Roach presented an unexpected challenge, proving more skilled and determined than many anticipated. As a result, there's been growing speculation that Davis may not pursue a rematch. Critics suggest that avoiding a second fight might be a strategy to protect his legacy from further damage, especially given the public backlash surrounding his performance in the first bout.
I think Tank been cherry picking for a long time, but I think Tank got the talent to be an all-time great. He just don't want to have a resume for whatever reason. So I think this is going to force him to go see people.
Step up a little bit.
It showed, even his fans, it kind of took that allure off. Like, oh, this nigga not perfect. He can't just whoop anybody ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and I think Lamont should have won the fight on the technicality.
Oh.
If it wasn't a knockdown, the ref wouldn't have started counting. He started counting. He only stopped because Tank told him to stop. He told that nigga, no. I'm like, no, stop, nigga. He was like, oh, my bad.
Yeah. If you take away the jabs, Tank landed more. Percentage was higher. I'm all about connection, bro. I think Tank did a better job in the fight. I gave Lamont maybe one of the early rounds. After round 6 or 7, I think Roach put in very good work and kind of matched whatever Tank was doing, or Tank matched whatever Lamont started doing. The technicality, bro, that was different.
For the first time in his career, Gervonta Davis faced an opponent who truly pushed him to the edge. Lamont Roach's performance was not only tough, but arguably one of the strongest displays against Gervais following the fight. Davis's cryptic tweet about not caring for boxing anymore added fuel to the speculation. Many fans and insiders interpreted it as a sign that Davis might be avoiding the rematch out of fear or self-doubt. The idea that Davis could be intimidated by Roach's skill and confidence has now become a central talking point among boxing circles.
To override his decisions or knockdowns. Some skeptics have suggested that Willis's call benefited Davis unfairly, but we do not subscribe to that notion. In our long experience judging fights, we see no evidence of favoritism, only a referee prioritizing the physical safety of a fighter who appeared compromised by an eye injury, which I actually get. I understood that statement because, hey, look, Steve Willis he didn't call it a knockdown.
You take a knee like that looks like a knockdown, all right?
So I think it's going to be very difficult for the New York State Athletic Commission to review this and then call it a knockdown. Because here's the thing. The fight could have gone completely differently if Gervonta was told that it was a knockdown officially. Gervonta could have then responded differently because, let the truth be known, Gervonta didn't even know it was the 12th round when it was the 12th round. He thought it was the 8th.
Forgot where he was at. He thought he was still in the 8th round. He thought he still had rounds to go.
12th round. He said, damn, it's the 12th? Yeah, it's the 12th and you're down. Tank didn't know what round it was.
So, if it was brought to his attention by Steve Willis that it was officially a knockdown, the fight could have gone differently, making it very difficult to review this after the fact and overturn it. But the problem is, still, though Steve Willis did not call it a knockdown officially, he also didn't call it a slip.
You take a knee like that looks like a knockdown.
He had to pick one or the other. And according to the rules, if it's a slip, the referee has to let it be known that it's a slip. Slips. When a boxer goes down and the referee deems it not to be a legal knockdown, they should immediately.
Round 9 of the bout turned into a flashpoint when Davis suddenly took a knee. The moment wasn't ruled a knockdown, sparking confusion and debate the end why. Sock later admitted that a technical issue prevented the ringside team from reviewing it. Properly, this revelation raised serious questions about how the fight was judged. The backlash against Davis after the Roach fight was immediate and intense. One of the biggest criticisms came from his explanation that grease in his eyes led to the knee in the 9th round. Many fans weren't buying it, especially when comparing his reaction to other fighters, including women, who have fought through worse. The public reaction at the venue, including boos, made it clear that the crowd wasn't impressed by his justification. This moment has become a stain on Davis's reputation, especially for a fighter known for his toughness.
Fight fans listening to the moment, Tank Davis says that grease got into his eye, which made him take that knee in round 9, and then listen in as the fans immediately turn on Tank and start booing him. I have one question for Tank. Tank, we have female boxers. I couldn't find any evidence of them taking a knee.
I just got my hair done 2 days ago, and she put grease in my shit, so the shit was like, you know, like when you sweating and things like that, and the grease come in my face, it burnt my eyes type shit. Damn, why y'all booing like I'm saying bullshit? Like, this is real facts.
Despite the controversy, or perhaps because of it, anticipation for a rematch has skyrocketed. Talks are circulating that the bout could be set for August, and fans are already marking their calendars. The unfinished business between Davis and Roach has made this one of the most talked about events of the year leading up to the potential rematch. Gervonta Davis has adopted a calculated psychological approach. He's been posting ambiguous messages and delivering pointed lines. During interviews, which some believe are designed to throw Roach off his game, these mind games suggest Davis is trying to get the upper hand before the first bell rings.
Lamont is signed and ready to go for the rematch, correct?
Y'all play so many head games, it's not even funny. Let me tell you something, bro. Lamont Roach has never been this big of a fighter before. Everyone knows Lamont Roach now. So he could be reaping the benefits of just enjoying his status of having that draw with Tank, while Tank is the one with the eye of the tiger. Tank is probably in the gym training his ass off, and then sign the contract like, all right, we got to fight when? June. Oh shit, let's hurry up and dash your ass. Sugar Ray Leonard did that to Roberto Duran. Duran was told that he had a fight in a couple weeks, and he was like, dude, I'm 190 pounds in Panama, which is why Roberto Duran was out of shape in the No Mas fight and was like, no mas. So Tank could be over there working, sign the contract in 3 weeks, and all of a sudden Lamont Roach got to put a training camp together.
Davis has been vocal about his weariness with the sport. He's mentioned needing a break and hinted at retirement. However, he's also named 3 fighters he wants to face before calling it quits. This contradiction has left fans unsure of his intentions. Is he winding down his career or using retirement talk as leverage? Whatever the case, it's clear he's at a crossroads.
So Gervonta Davis names the only 3 opponents he wants to face before retirement, one being Lamont Roach, who he already is scheduled to fight next year. So you guys already know that he plans to leave the sport at the end of 2025, but he wants to fight Ryan Garcia again. I wonder. This is exactly why he wants to fight Ryan Garcia again. I mean, look at the abysmal numbers before he fought him, right? And then when he fought Martin, 350,000. This is where the big money is, and of course he wants to rematch Ryan Garcia. Then he says he'd fight Teofimo Lopez next. He says, yeah, I do Teo. I'd slap the crap out of him when I see him. Lopez is the current WBO super lightweight champion, having won the belt against Josh Taylor, which honestly very much surprised me. I thought Josh Taylor was going to win, but Teofimo Lopez showed his skills and his grit, his athleticism, and really just proved that he belonged. You know what I mean? I would say I'd prefer to see the Teofimo Lopez fight just because we saw him fight Ryan Garcia already. I know with that whole weight thing that he did to him, but honestly, I think Teofimo Lopez would be the better.
The idea of Gervonta Davis stepping away from boxing at this stage has stunned many, with his talent and popularity at an all-time high. The thought of him quitting now seems abrupt. His statements have cast uncertainty over upcoming fights and left promoters and fans scrambling to understand what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yo, I tip my cap to Tank Davis. Listen to what he's about to say when asked about his comments earlier, why he wants to retire after 2025. I salute you, Tank, man. This is the realest thing I've heard from a boxer in a long time. Let me know your thoughts, guys.
That's why I don't want to box no more. I want to do therapy, right? But I feel as though if I do therapy, it will lose the fire that I have inside me. I want everything out of me where so I don't never think about fighting again. I don't think about even getting angry, you know what I mean? Because I have 2 girls, 2 daughters. I'm wanting to be much softer, you know what I mean? Be more humble and things like that.
This isn't the first instance where Davis has talked about walking away in earlier interviews. He hinted at an early retirement, often linking it to personal ambitions or lifestyle choices. Outside boxing, Lamont Roach didn't waste time reacting to Davis's retirement talk. He called it a misstep and suggested it would only work in his favor. According to Roach, any public expression of doubt or hesitation from Davis is a mental edge. He can use Roach plans to stay focused and use every psychological tool available to tip the fight in his favor.
Yeah, this my belt.
On the line?
Nah, my belt not on the line.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
Come on.
Everybody back now?
We're good.
Now you guys are on. You guys are on. Everybody, let's go. Thank you. Lamont stays. Everybody else goes.
I got y'all. Yeah.
All right, guys.
We good. Appreciate it.
Lamont, how do you feel? How confident do you feel after this press conference?
Man, the confidence, I mean, they gave me a little bit more, but my confidence is already through the roof. You hear me? Like, it ain't nothing to it. It ain't nothing to it. Ain't nothing going to alter my confidence or none of that. My confidence either going to shoot up or it's going to stay like at 1,000. You hear me?
And I know you've been fighting for years. What does it mean to get this like recognition and get this big fight right now?
I think it's where I'm supposed to be at. Honestly, I worked my ass off to get right here, so it's about time.
Lamont, when Tank says that he's going to retire at the end of next year, do you think he has one foot out the door?
Yeah, for sure. I think that was a mistake for him to say that, especially in front of me. So, I'm gonna just take advantage of him and show him why he shouldn't have said that or why he shouldn't be contemplating that.
When he talks about you not bringing your family, what goes through your mind when you hear him say that?
I ain't worried about that shit.
What advantage do you feel like you have going into this fight?
Just overall being something that he's not been in the ring with. I'm the total package, and honestly, sometimes I think he doubts himself.
A growing number of insiders think Davis sees boxing more as a paycheck than a calling, while he's undeniably skilled. Some say his heart isn't fully in it anymore. Unlike fighters who chase greatness, Davis may be content with what he's already achieved. If passion isn't fueling him, then the hunger to fight and win could fade quickly.
So that he doesn't really love the sport of boxing. He's very good at it, but he doesn't really love it. And if you just kind of understand it from a job perspective, right? I think we look at it and think, okay, he makes so much money, blah, blah, blah. But just from a job perspective, how many of us understand that we're good at our job, but doesn't mean we like our job? Like, some people just don't like it. And I feel like that's the same with Gervonta. He knows he's good at it, but the love for it is gone. And he's been doing it since he was, 6 or 7? And maybe he just doesn't want to do it anymore. And it is disappointing because he's clearly one of the biggest names in the sport. Must be top 3 or top 4 when it comes to sort of revenue and bums on seats and pay-per-view draw, etc., etc. So it is disappointing when one of the biggest names leaves the sport, especially if they leave it when they've still got so much to offer. There's so many big fights out there that would like to see Gervonta have. And I'm not talking about the March 1st fight against Lamont Roach. I mean, Shakur Stevenson, potentially big fights at 140. But I don't know. It's strange. It's a strange one with Tank. He's deleted all his Instagram posts. He just seems to be in a space where maybe he does need to take some time away from the sport. Again, yesterday was very weird to see him turn up to a press conference by himself. I actually like it. I don't think fighters need the big entourage, but it was weird not to see Leonard there.
Clarissa Shields recently spoke out about Davis praising his talent, but also urging him to focus on his mental health. She suggested he seek professional support and take time to reflect before stepping back into the spotlight. Her comments come from a place of concern, highlighting the emotional pressures elite athletes face. Shields' words reflect the broader need for wellness in the sport beyond just physical conditioning.
Gervonta is a hell of a fighter, but he needs to get his mental together. When I hear some of his interviews and I see some of the stuff that he's saying, I can just tell that he's not in love with the sport no more. I can tell that he didn't get his just.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next.